everybody. Welcome back to the Power of Women in Insurance podcast. My name is Teresa Kitchens, your host, and I am amazingly happy to be able to be here with you today. We are in October. It's October 10th, 2024, and we are getting ready for goal planning. I'm going to do a two-part series on being able to get your goal planning going. Today, we're going to be talking about getting your head on, getting prepared, getting psyched up, getting ready to go for all the things goal planning. So join me. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, everybody, let's go ahead and jump right in there. So I want to be able to talk, first of all, about getting your head in the right space. We're going to do another episode on the processes, the operations of being able to do goal planning. But I find that for me, goal planning can be really difficult because of the junk in my head. I have a lot of imposter syndrome. I have a lot of fears. I have a lot of what if I don't make my goals? I have a lot of what if things don't go the way I want them to? Am I going to let people down? Am I going to disappoint them? Are these goals really mine to have? Am I worthy of being able to have these goals? So, I want to be able to come to you real quick and talk to you about how to get rid of all that first. So I want to be able to tell everybody, make sure you get like a journal. I love a journal. You can do this however you want to. If you do it digitally, that's great. There's a lot of people out there that do digital. But what I do is, and this journal is about a whole lot more than just goal planning. Okay. But what I do is I write things down. I actually doodle in it. I draw. I write out 100 reasons why something benefits me. Okay. And whenever I have a goal. So we're going to get to that here in a little bit. But what I want you to do first is grab a journal and let's talk about what it is about goal planning and or the possibility of certain goals that make you scared, that you might not achieve them because of. So what I recommend doing is taking a piece of paper, 1/4 of it, go ahead and put a line in the middle of or not the middle of the paper. So you're going to divide it up into 3/4 and then 1/4. And then on the 3/4 side, make sure you just journal out. Okay. Journal what you want for 2024. Journal what your dreams are. Journal what your dreams are for your team, for your systems operations, for your marketing, for your revenue, for your operations, all these different things, right? Just journal, just free flow journal. Okay. And then on the left-hand side, on that quarter margin, pick out certain words, okay, from your journaling and pick out those words. Maybe that invoke fear for you, and maybe write out a little snippet. Why does that scare you? Why would this benefit you? Why would this be scary for you? Okay. So then what you're doing is you're creating a list of key topics, okay, on your 1/4 margin. And then what I want you to do is to be able to take those fears, those concepts, those ideas that you've journaled on your 1/4 margin. And I want you to be able to get another piece of paper and divide it down the middle. And we're going to say benefits, pros and cons. Okay. We're going to do pros and cons. What if this actually happened? What if this fear actually happened? How could it maybe benefit you? How could it maybe hurt you? Right. But look at it. Take your fears, look them in the eye. That's what this activity is all about. If you take your fears, look them in the eye, identify them, it creates a level of awareness. And that level of awareness then at that point is something then that when those fears come up, when maybe we are struggling with procrastination, maybe we're struggling with motivation, if we don't want to do something, we can identify that stems from a lot of those fears. And then we can say, I've already looked at what happens if that fear comes true. I've already looked at what happens if that fear does not come true. And I've already said to myself, I can handle both sides. So this isn't a fear anymore. Now it's something I need to step over because my goal is much larger than my fears. But if we don't ridicule, laugh at, if we don't demolish, if we don't diminish is probably a better word, whatever that looks like, our fears, they can own us because they feel so big. They manifest themselves in procrastination. They manifest themselves in aggression. Sometimes we find ourselves just cranky for no reason, right? It can manifests itself in our sleep, right? The way we dream, maybe that we wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning and we can't, all the things that we are worried about seem to come up, right? All those things, if you look at them and you do the pros and the cons and you address each one of them and you're prepared for them. So this is not like a blind activity, right? This is definitely something you have to be prepared for. Do the work. Look at your fears. Look at why you're afraid of them. Look at what you're afraid may happen. Look at what happens if they don't happen. Okay. If that does not occur. And you know what? Look at it in the eye and say, I know what my fears are, and I know that I can overcome this. And if they are true and if they are real, which honestly, I have never come up with one of mine that are honest to goodness, a guarantee that they're going to happen, or that the benefit would not outweigh it to be able to step over it. I've never seen that. With that, if they are that big, then you are aware enough to step back from a situation. Okay. And then maybe that is a good situation for you to step back from. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you truly want something, if you truly want to make a sales goal, all right, and if you are terrified of knocking on doors, what happens if you knock on a door? Maybe somebody will reject me. Maybe somebody will be mad at me. Maybe somebody will tell me to get off their property. Maybe somebody will blah, blah, blah. Write it all down. What if they do? Okay, I leave. How horrible is that, right? That doesn't, it sounds scary, but when you go, okay, if they tell me to leave, I'll leave. What if you make a new friend? Right? Look at the positives, look at the negatives, right? Look at the scary pieces, but look at the positives too. What if you walk into that business and you end up making a friend? You end up with a lifelong client. They end up being one of your best clients. What if they bring $10,000 revenue to your agency per year? What if? Do the pros, do the cons, okay? Do both sides. Then once you go ahead and you journal, you call out your fears, call out your joys too. Okay, so make sure you do that, because you want to make sure that you look at things that you're super excited about, and make sure you look at the pros and the cons of your joys as well. Okay, you need to level out the emotions around the things that will go into your goal planning, because if you don't do that, your goals will be so detached from you and what you really want to be able to do that you'll never achieve them. And that's not what we want. We want to neutralize the emotions around the concepts of what you want. Okay. Usually in that process, I'll come up with a theme. It's going to take me blank to be able to achieve that. So, like for this year, for 2023, right? Let's back up 2 years. My theme was right butts and right seats. My last podcast last week, I talked about how in 2022, I hired a service center, bad idea, let my whole team go besides 2 VAs. And my daughter, she worked for me at that point. She was doing outside sales at that point. So I kept her. But then we came back in, we redid our whole internal staff. So for 2023, my theme was right butts and right seats. So then in 2023, it became very obvious that we did not have the documented structure to hold everybody accountable for what we wanted to accomplish. It was very, the game of telephone, right? Like, oh, Teresa says to do this. Oh, this person says to do that. It was very game of telephone. We had to stop that. We had to end that, right? So as I was going through my year, I was seeing these holes in our systems and our operations and our processes that said, hey, we need documented processes so we can hold each other accountable. So our word for 2024, our phrase, let's go for phrase, was clear as kind. So we said clear as kind means good documentation. We're being kind to our team. We're being kind to each other. We're holding each other in a way of kindness to the documentation. My team has been a part of the documentation. They have added what they like, don't like, maybe what they do on their end, maybe that they think is better, or they could level up what we came up with. So it's been a team effort. This year, we built out agency Zoom. Again, clear as kind. We're creating clear, documented systems and structures. It's really not hard. As you do your trainings, you can even create a Loom video. Loom has a great transcription process. You could even put it into Scribe. It's a great opportunity as well. As you do a Loom, it will go ahead and document your systems and processes. It doesn't have to take a huge amount of time, but that's what we've really focused on in 2024. So we built out agency Zoom the whole way. We've been talking about all our different pipelines. What do we want where, our checklists, all these different things, where we want voice drops, emails, text messages. And then we documented the whole thing using Loom and Scribe. Perfect. That's been amazing. So next, okay, our word for 2025, as I'm going through all this, one of the things that I implemented for this year was that I have a Monday meeting at 10 a.m. and with the personal lines team, and a 1 o'clock meeting with the commercial lines team every Monday. All right. Sometimes I'm 10, 15 minutes late. Sometimes it doesn't happen because it's a Monday and we have things going on. We reschedule. We've been fairly consistent with our meetings. That's been really good. There have been lots of years when I've not even had the meetings hardly. I'm going to take that as a win. But on Tuesdays, I want to make sure that that I have 30 minutes with each team member, half of my team, every other Tuesday. Okay. So these appointments then make Wednesday, Thursday, Friday a little busy, okay? Because then I've got to not really catch up, but I've got all these other things. Well, you've seen the podcast has kind of come in second fiddle on that. So my word for 2025 is going to be, and it is for the agency as well, we've already talked about it as a team, is discipline. Doing the systems, the operations, the things that we have developed this past year, holding ourselves accountable, communicating, making sure that we still give feedback, but doing the things on a repetitive basis that get us where we want to go. No wiggle room, no ability to be able to do it my way versus your way. No, oh, it's okay, it's 80%. No, okay, I'll do that later. No putting things off. We need to really attach the concept of procrastination. We need to attack that. Things that we're kind of putting off because maybe they're a little bit more challenging or difficult. And that is what I see for 2025, discipline. And I mean that for my personal life too, because I've lost about 40 pounds. I'm super happy about that. But in order for me to get really where I want to go and be healthier, I need to make bigger changes. And those changes are going to take discipline. So I want to be disciplined with my money. I want to be disciplined with my business. I want to be disciplined with my meetings. I don't want to be 5 minutes late to a meeting. I want to be 5 minutes early. This year, I've made almost all my meetings, which has been great. I haven't forgotten about a lot of them, which I had sometimes do. And I know for a fact that next year, I don't just want to be present. I want to be early. And on the other side of that, I want to be fully present mentally and emotionally. I've got 3 screens. I don't want to be watching what's going on my other screens. So my team also wants to make sure that we're implementing the systems and the structures and that we're nutting down on some of those finer details and that we're leveling up our automation again. So we talked about this as a team. I've seen a theme, but by identifying my fears, I'm then going to be able to say, if our word is discipline, then I'm going to go ahead and put that into the major areas of my business, which we'll have another podcast about, and the major areas of my personal life that I want the word discipline to really infiltrate next year. That for me is going to get me where I want to go. That's what I did this year. This year's been very successful for us. The team is in a really good place. We're all in a super great, amazing space of gratitude. And running a virtual business is a tough thing for that. To be able to create that community, that culture. And this year we've done that. And we've really leaned on each other. We've created great friendships amongst the team, great ability for us to be able to depend on each other. So I want to increase that now by saying our theme is discipline. We are leveling up. We are responding a little faster. We're going to be looking at our numbers. We're going to be holding each other accountable. If we want blank in commissions, then blank sales need to happen. And that means blank leads need to come in. And that means blank phone calls, blank emails, blank whatever. So therefore, we're going to be working on discipline. It goes into every single aspect of the business. It goes into me as a human being. It's going to go into my eating habits. It's going to go into me. This is going to be hard. Giving up a lot of Diet Dr. Pepper. I'm not going to say I'm done with it forever. But I normally, and this is very bad, big confession. I don't make a secret out of it. It's not really a confession. But I have about 4 to 5 Diet Dr. Pepper cans a day. And I don't need to do that. I need to have 1, maybe 2. 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon. I don't drink coffee. So, and I don't drink energy drinks. So I need to figure that out for myself, but that's going to take discipline. All right. And there's a great saying that to accomplish a goal takes a long-term vision, and it takes tenacity and it takes drive. But the key is that in the moment, if our goals and our why is not big enough, we will crumble in the moment when we want that cheesecake, or we want to procrastinate being able to make that phone call to a client, or we want to procrastinate being able to go on out and make sales calls today. We're going to procrastinate because our why isn't big enough. Why? Because our goal isn't aligned with who we are. We're letting our fears overcome those goals. And we have to deal with our fears first. So I'm going back to my original topic. Identify your fears. Call out why they're your fears, what happens if they occur. Call out what happens if you succeed. Okay, because that's what's going to get you over that hump. Okay. And then look at that. What do you want? Just streamline of conversation when you journal. And then create kind of a concept or a theme for the year. Okay. And when you create that concept or that theme for the year, think about how that would benefit you, benefit your team, benefit your job, benefit your clients. How would that benefit where you want to go? Because that's going to create that why to be big enough that when those fears and those procrastinations kick back in, you're going to have that mental and emotional awareness to where then you can call that out and you can say, that's a lie. That is not going to happen. You can even call it out if your word is discipline for the year. And you can say, I need to step over this at this moment, right here, right now. This procrastination, this feeling, this fear, this laziness, whatever I'm feeling right now will hurt me. I will not accomplish my goal if I allow this to a win today, to overcome me. So I encourage you today, take into consideration all the things that we've talked about. Journal. Create your piece of paper with your quarter size on the right side, journal on the right. Then go back to each one of those fears. Create your pros and your cons. A great thing to do is if you do come up with some goals, okay, even if you want to talk about a word of the year, whatever, if you really want it to sink in, create a journal process, okay? And I've done this multiple times. And if you're on YouTube, you can see me. I'm about to open my thing, my thing. And I have here, what do I really want? And here I have, how many do I have? I have 100 things I really, really want. Okay. And I use colored pencils and I will sit here and I will doodle on it. And then I go into what are the obstacles that is it going to take for me to be able to accomplish those? And what I do is I ruminate on them. And then when those fears come up, I call them out and it gets me where I want to go. And it's created a completely different life since 2015 when I learned this methodology. It's created a completely different life than I would have had if I would not have learned this technique. So if you're looking at goal planning, we're going to have another episode next week that is specifically going to be about how to be able to goal plan. Okay. So identify what some of your goals are in this process. But right now we're talking about the things that keep you from your goals. Do make sure you join us. We're on Apple iTunes. We're on Google Podcasts. We're on Spotify. We're all the places where you want to be able to see your podcasts. But join us here at the Power Women in Insurance podcast. Share this episode. And you know what? We're going to make 2025 the best year ever. All right. Thanks so much for joining me. My name is Teresa Kitchens, and I will see you next week.